Hello and welcome to Who to Win in a Fight. Today's prediction is going to be on the big fight coming up tonight, and tonight being the 15th of September, just in case anyone's looking this in a week's time and is getting totally confused. That fight being Gennady Golovkin and Saul Alvarez Canelo. Now, a lot of people think there was a lot of controversy about the first decision, and I'm one of the few that think actually there was no controversy really at all. Obviously the first fight was scored as a draw, and most people would have viewed Golovkin as being the winner by 2 or 3 rounds. Now, I did have Golovkin winning by 1 round, and I scored the fight in the following manner. I gave the first 3 rounds to Canelo Alvarez, and I put this down primarily to the fact that Golovkin finally realised he was in such a big fight, in such a big event, and all these boxers say, the event and the crowds won't get to them, won't faze them. Golovkin looked a little bit starry-eyed for the first couple of rounds, and it took him 2.5, 3 rounds to fully settle into the fight. And I think those first 3 rounds, Alvarez managed to. He boxed well. He was a bit more on the front foot. He boxed well, and I think he took those first 3 rounds. Now, Golovkin took most of the middle rounds. So then the late charge then from Alvarez in the last 3 rounds, I had him winning at least 2 of the last 3 rounds. So on my scorecard, at worst, Alvarez won 5 rounds. So that would be a 7-5 fight to Golovkin. But then some of those middle rounds that Golovkin won, he won some of those not as clearly as the rounds Alvarez won. So you could very easily make a case for 6-all and a draw. So moving on to tonight. Excuse me. Moving on to tonight. What do I see the pattern of the fight being? I think, I hope a couple of factors will come into play, and the main one will be the failed drugs test on behalf of Alvarez. Now, talk about a boxing superstar who's got a lot to prove. He's got to prove, A, he's the better man than Golovkin and that he'll win, and B, that all his career so far hasn't been dubious and suspicious, and the victories he's gained has been purely because of him and his skill and work rate alone and talent. If he doesn't win tonight, there's going to be a very strong suspicious eye thrown at him that ultimately he got to where he was on the back of steroids. So I think both fighters have a great deal to lose and both fighters have a great deal to prove tonight, but I think there's a lot more on Alvarez. If he gets beaten in 7 or 8 rounds, everyone is probably going to say, yeah, well, you know what was he without the drugs? Now, there's a chance that the reasons behind the failed drugs test are true. There always is, but very few fighters and very few sports, men and women, when they're failing drugs tests, would put their hands up and say, yeah, you know what, I took something I shouldn't have, and I'll endeavour not to make it happen again. So I think Alvarez is going to have to be a bit more proactive tonight. In the last fight, he showed a lot of defensive skills, and he also showed that he is the top level fighter. We hoped he would be. I mean, my biggest wish for the first fight was that he'd be able to stand up to Golovkin, he'd be able to take his punches, and that he wouldn't just crumble like a lot of fighters had in the past when they came up against Golovkin. And he did that. He did that very, very well. He was well able to stand up. A couple of shots that Golovkin landed flush, he was able to take them. So he is absolutely an elite level fighter. From Golovkin's standpoint, hopefully age won't come into it. It's been a year since the first fight. Now, a year is nothing when you're 25, 26, but I think Golovkin is now, 35, maybe 36. Hopefully we won't see a fighter age overnight in the ring like we've seen so many times in the past. Golovkin's going to be able to go at this fight from the start. He's not likely going to give up the first 3 rounds like he did in the first fight. So how do I see this fight panning out? I think in the end it might go along the lines of the same lines as the first fight. I'd like to think Alvarez will be on the front foot a little bit more, but we're creatures of habit. He's not going to be able to fight 3 minutes of every round. Whereas we know, age permitting, Golovkin's going to be after him every single moment of every single round for the whole duration of the fight. So my prediction is going to be, again, along the lines of the first fight. I think Golovkin will catch up with him in the late rounds, which is what I thought the first time round. I was proven wrong, but I'm going to stick with this prediction. I hope that if Golovkin wins, he wins purely on the back of he's just a better fighter than Alvarez. I hope it doesn't become apparent by round 7 or 8 that a lot of the work Alvarez has done throughout his career may have been tainted by performance-enhancing drugs. But I'm gonna put my neck on the block here. I'm gonna say Golovkin will win by a TKO in the 11th round. And whatever way the fight pans out, again, like the first fight, let's hope it's something of substance. Let's hope it's good, and let's hope it's entertaining. The more exciting boxing fights, the better. So enjoy it, and until next time, goodbye.